down to a four-way scrap, remember, for the driver's crown. It'll be decided here in Dubai. And another of those drivers appearing in TCR International for the first time. Aurélien Comte in the DG Sport Competition Opel Astra. Comte won the TCR Trophy Europe a matter of a few weeks ago. Let's talk to his team manager then. Let's head down to the pit lane. Let's talk to the team principal of DG Sport Competition. Christian Jupsin is with Alfredo.
Christian Jupsin, DG Sport Competition. It's the last race of the year. 2 cars and a new driver, a very good driver.
Yes, a really good driver because we won 2 weeks ago the TCR Europe. It was for us a very good surprise because we raced with a small Peugeot Cup, and we proposed to Aurélien to participate in this race, and directly he told us yes, and it's good for us.
And it's the last opportunity to win a race.
Win a race that will be difficult, I think, because for Aurélien it's a new car. He needs to discover the car, and we will see.
All the best, bonne chance.
Thank you, Christian. And reference there to winning a race. We've seen on a number of occasions this year the Opel Astra come tantalizing close to its first victory. Matto Homola cruelly denied on a couple of occasions, particularly in Oschersleben, when he led almost lights to flag, and cruelly denied that victory when Gianni Morbidelli overtook him 2 corners from home. And so it was Homola finishing second behind Morbidelli. There is Homola in the number 70 Astra. So can he round off the season with a victory? The driver's title is a relatively straightforward battle. It's currently a 4-way fight. That potentially could come down to a 2-way fight after race 1, or even it could be decided in race 1 tomorrow, depending on what Jean-Carl Venet can do in the Leopard Racing WRT Volkswagen Golf. But the cars head out onto the track for the first time this weekend. There is Roberto Colciago in the white Mira Racing Honda Civic. He, along with Stefano Camini, are mathematically in with a chance of the title, but really it'll be a 2-way fight between Jean-Carl Venet and Attila Tashi. 21 points separate the two going into this final race weekend. And as I say, it could all be decided in race 1. If Venet ends race 1 more than 26 points clear of Tashi, then it's all over. Stefano Camini and Roberto Colciago having to rely on the misfortune of others. And there you see the lights flashing on one of the cars that really impressed the last time out in China at Zhejiang, 3 weeks ago. The new Hyundai i30N TCR in the hands of Alain Menu, but also Gabriele Tarquini, 2 stalwarts, 2 veterans of touring car racing. Tarquini taking victory in race 1 in China. But the car running under a temporary homologation, and so it's important to say that as far as the championship positions, the points are concerned, the 2 Hyundais are effectively invisible, transparent this weekend. And so they cannot take points away from either drivers or teams, because there are 3 titles to be decided. I've already mentioned the driver's title, but also the team's title to be decided this weekend, as will be the TCR car brand of the year, which is a little more complicated, to put it mildly. Work still going on Leuchter's car. There is Homola in the number 70 Astra behind Morbidelli there in the West Coast Racing Volkswagen. Teams championship-wise, well, Mira Racing, 405 points, 69 clear of Lukoil Kraft Bamboo with Leopard. Another 11 behind in third. So you have to say, with that strong lineup from Mira, with Tashi Colchago and Josh Files running here in Dubai, it'll be a tall order for anybody to beat them. But that is the man that's currently leading the Drivers' Championship, Jean-Carl Venet, on 207 points. A consistent season from Venet. When I spoke to him yesterday, he was actually quite surprised to be where he was, because he's only actually won one race outright and then picked up the 25 points effectively for the race victory because of the situation regarding Tarquini in China. But Venet victorious in race 2 at Spa, way back in the first third of the season. But it's the consistency of always chipping away, always being there or thereabouts, and not being particularly handicapped by success ballast. But Venet also having the advantage of the Golf, one of the strongest cars in this year's TCR International Series. The Volkswagen and the Honda Civic really coming to the fore this year. And at the beginning of the year, it was the little Alfa Romeo. You see there David Kajaya, the number 16 car, with his tall teammate Dusan Borkovic in the number 62 car, both tasting victory early in the season. But the Alfa's challenge very much restricted to tracks that don't involve rapid changes of direction. And I've not spoken to Dusan here so far this weekend, but he is very quick to say whether he feels the car will be good or not at a particular circuit. And we've barely mentioned the Seats. They were great at the beginning of the year. Oriola taking victory in race 2 in Georgia. Richard Coleman there, the boss of Craft Bamboo. But at the moment it's a 1-2 for Lucal Craft Bamboo. James Nash going gold in both sectors 1 and 2. Pepe Oriola quickest so far. Nash currently second, but on a charge. Coming through what's known as the hill section of the various layouts here at the Autodrome in Dubai. We're using the national circuit, the 3.5 kilometer circuit. And so there's a little link section in the middle which joins the various circuits up. And across the line comes Nash to go quickest. Jean-Carl Venet briefly quicker than the pair, but Nash back on top. So it's James Nash for Lucal Craft Bamboo, quicker than Jean-Carl Venet. Then it's Pepe Oriola. Duncan Indy in the Seat is 4th. Then Gordon Shedden. So quickly coming to terms, Gordon Shedden, as Gianni Morbidelli goes 2nd quickest. Mato Homola goes 4th. Dusan Borkovic, 5th quickest. Gold in sector 1, green in sectors 2 and 3. There is Borkovic just coming down towards the camera now, on the brakes for the right-hander at turn 1. Lap times in the 1:31s at the moment. Aurelien Comte, who we saw earlier on, still not having come out of the pits. So a 1:31.232 for James Nash, a 1:31.279, so 400 slower, Gabriele Tarquini. Whoa, Borkovic getting all crossed up. And there is Adriana, the ever-faithful Mrs. Borkovic, as Jean-Carl Venet once again goes quicker. And Venet having done a 1:36.23, so the first driver to break the 1:31 barrier here in Dubai, as Nash goes quicker again. So clearly a marker being laid down between the Seat Leon of Lucal Craft Bamboo and the Volkswagen Golf of Leopard WRT. As Gordon Shedden goes quicker. Shedden replacing Rob Huff in the second of the Volkswagens, and having not driven the car until he arrived in Dubai, you have to say Gordon Shedden, 3 times British Touring Car champion, has immediately settled into the Volkswagen, having done a 1:33.75, beaten Initially by Borkovic and now by Oriola once again. Oriola having gone quickest. So it's now Oriola from Borkovic from Shedden. As that was Stefano Camini making a mess of the right-hander. Oriola, Borkovic, Shedden, Morbidelli, Leuchter, then it's Nash, then Venet, Tarquini, Colciago, Homola, then Camini. As I mentioned earlier, mathematically still in with a chance. Big slide from Camini, gets into a tank slapper, and that was Indy behind him in the Seat. And Camini just overdriving, I think, through that section. Sven Smeets there, the boss of Volkswagen Motorsport, talking to Dick Johnson from West Coast. So it's once again 1-2 for Lucol Craft Bamboo as James Nash goes P2 ahead of Borkovic and Shedden. Not even a third of the way through this session. Morbidelli P2. So Oriola a 1:30.002. Morbidelli a 1:30.042. So 400 slower. Then it's Nash 1:30.296. So a little over 2/10 separating the top three at the moment as everybody's settling down into this unfamiliar for most racing circuit. Some having been here before, but generally in very different cars. There is a 24-hour of Dubai race, of course, earlier in the year, much earlier in the year, and one or two drivers have competed there. There's a TCR class. Duncan Indy and Icarus Motorsport have already indicated their keenness to do the 2018 24-hour of Dubai race, and so their cars will be staying here in the Middle East rather than heading back to the team's workshop in Italy. Vervish, you see there, currently P18. So 3 of the cars not having set representative lap times, as Oriola, quickest so far, has upped the pace yet again, quickest in sectors 1 and 2. Benjamin Leuchter now having gone P2. Denis Dupont, we saw briefly there, flashing up green on the leaderboard at the left-hand side of your screen. Dupont having gone 11th. Panis, P9. Not spoken at all about Aurélien Panis so far in the Boutsen Gignon Honda. Panis, remember, the winner in race 2 in Buriram in Thailand. So Benny Leuchter second, a 1:29.796. One of only 2 drivers to have broken the 1:30 barrier, the other being the man currently on top of the timesheets, Pepe Oriola. As Vervish goes across the line, improves to P9. So Frederick Vervish does a 1:31.328. Almost a second and a half off Pepe Oriola's pace. Dupont in the Come To You Seat, having gone gold in Sector 1. Oriola again on the pace. Quickest of all in sectors 1 and 2. Pepe Oriola currently on a 1:29.660. And Dupont goes P3. There is Oriola. Around the final turn, turn 14, up to the start-finish line. And again improving. So his best Sector 1 time and the best Sector 2 and 3 times of all. So Oriola improves to a 1:29.591. As it's Frederick Vervish's turn to get all crossed up in the Come To You Audi RS3 LMS. Andrea Adamo, boss of Hyundai Motorsport, the two I-30s run as they were in China by BRC Racing, but still very much part of the car's development. But you have to say, after the initial successes, that the Hyundai Motorsport guys in Germany have done a fantastic job on the I-30. Very nervous, that back end, as Borkovic flings the car around the right-hander. Oh, and loses it, or does he? Catches it. That was an interesting line through that corner from Dusan Borkovic. Borkovic currently P5 with a 1. On my timing screen, I just have his previous lap time. Borkovic having backed off. And Dan Lloyd, we've hardly spoken about, in the third of the Lukoil Craft Bamboo cars, as Borkovic takes the right-hander into the link road that takes the cars up the hill to rejoin the international circuit. Let's look at this again. You see the back of the car bouncing around, just flicks the car sideways. A big drift from Borkovic. And then in this next one, flinging the car sideways to scrub off speed. So Homola currently P15. Tarquini goes quickest. Gabriele Tarquini in the number 30 Hyundai, quickest of all, despite all of the balance of performance measures applied after the first race in China. And I do need to check the success ballast situation with Tarquini. He was saying yesterday he was slightly confused, being invisible effectively in the points, so he's not allowed to score points because of the car's temporary homologation, and yet he's carrying 10 kilos of success ballast, which is awarded because of the number of points scored in the previous round. So Tarquini telling me yesterday that he was slightly confused about the situation. Whether that's going to go to the stewards or whether Tarquini and the team will just accept that, I don't know, but he was shrugging his shoulders. Doesn't seem to be slowing him down, though. Gabriele Tarquini in the Hyundai i30N TCR, thumping across the curbs, and Tarquini with a 1:29.5, quickest of all. Leuchter in the pits, currently P4. And Vervish now on a bit of a charge. Gold in Sector 1, green in Sector 2. And so Frederick Vervish, currently in 13th. Improves from P13 to P9. Into the second half of this half-hour session then. And once again, Kamini getting all crossed up. And you wonder, is he playing mind games with himself? Is he out-psyching himself ahead of this final race weekend of 2017? When we spoke to him yesterday for the preview, he was saying that he was basically shrugging his shoulders and saying, well, I'm not giving up, not right until the end, but he was saying my 2 years as TCR champion have been great, but history moves on. So I think in his own mind, he's resigned himself to not retaining that title. Tarquini upping the pace still further. Gold in sectors 1 and 2. He's already gone from a 1:29.5 to a 1:29.341. Looks to be improving still further. As we look at Duncan Indy. Indy currently P16. Tarquini then coming down to turn 14, the final right-hander that takes the cars back onto the start-finish straight. Keeping it neat across the line. And no, indeed. The final sector throwing it away. So a similar lap time, a 1:29.596, but not enough to beat his previous lap. So then, with a little over 12.5 minutes remaining, Gabriele Tarquini, quickest so far from Pepe Oriola, Jean-Carl Venet, Benjamin Leuchter, Denis Dupont, Josh Files, who we've hardly seen, then Gianni Morbidelli, Dusan Borkovic, Frederick Vervish and James Nash. Dan Lloyd currently P15. Lloyd having had an engine change last night, but the stewards allowing the engine change with no penalty because of force majeure following the incident in the second race in China. So Dan Lloyd having had an engine change but with no penalty, as we look at Alain Menu in the second of the Hyundais coming round turn 14 then. And Menu, quickest of all in Sector 1, his best Sector 2 time, crosses the line and goes P2. So Hyundai's first and second, picking up from where they left off in China. And Gabriele Tarquini also having appeared and also having won in the TCR Europe Trophy event in Adria a fortnight ago. Roberto Colciago down in 14th at the moment. Colciago, like Comini, still in with a mathematical chance of the championship. But truth be told, again, when we spoke to him yesterday, he was pretty much resigned to saying, no, I'm not going to give up, but really it's going to be a tall order. It's effectively a two-way fight between Jean-Carl Venet and Attila Tashi for the driver's title. But Colciago and Josh Files aiming to help Attila, their young Hungarian teammate, whenever possible, and hoping to deliver the team's title for Mira Racing. So there's Morbidelli. Comini now having worked out exactly what he's meant to be doing on track. Gold in Sector 1, green in Sector 2. Comini down in 15th at the moment. Nash having improved to P11 with 3 green sectors. There is Comini. Comini's best time, a 1:31.342. And Homola's turn to go quickly in the number 70 Astra. Homola, gold in Sector 1, green in Sector 2. Mato Homola currently 13th with a best of 1:30. There he is. Now what can he do? Can he end the season on a high note? Through turn 14, this long right-hander. Just taking to the curbs on the exit. Cross the line. No, indeed. Homola stays P13 as Vervish heads out of the pit lane. So that promising lap from Homola, all coming undone in Sector 3. And Aurélien Comte in the sister car is now out on track. Morbidelli goes P7, Nash goes P5, Comini goes up to 14th. We're now inside the final third of this half-hour section. And it's Gabriele Tarquini ahead of Alain Menu. Hyundai's 1 and 2 at the moment. Then it's Pepe Oriola, then Jean-Carl Venet, then James Nash, Benny Leuchter, Denis Dupont, Gianni Morbidelli, Josh Files, P9. Then it's Dusan Borkovic, rounding off the top 10. Homola improving again, another gold Sector 1 time from him. Also green in Sector 2. There is Indy. That was Borkovic. And indeed, Homola comes into the pits. So what was looking to be an extremely strong lap from him has ended with him pulling into the pits. So Homola still P13. And this is Oriola getting it sideways as Denis Dupont improves to P5. Gordon Shedden to P9. ahead of Files. And as I was saying right at the beginning of this session, the two British drivers brought into the TCR International Series to help their respective teammates in their bids for the Drivers' Championship. So Jean-Carl Venet has Gordon Shedden as his teammate this weekend, and Josh Files brought in as the third of the Mira Racing team. As Duncan Indy locks up and runs wide, flinging the car sideways across the runoff area. And that's where Borkovic got it wrong early on. There is Frederick Vervisch, currently P12. There's Leuchter. I think that's Oriola behind. Indeed, the 74 car, Pape Oriola, third quickest so far, ahead of Jean-Carl Venet, but behind the two Hyundais. And Tarquini and Menu both lapping around 129, 130, so the pace is still there. Vervisch now improving still further. Gold in both sectors 1 and 2. Shedden, 3 green sectors from him, as Comini improves to P8. So the two Audis starting to come good towards the end of this session. Comini comes in as Comte goes P15 in the Opel, just behind Homola. Frederick Vervisch goes quickest of all. Vervisch with a 128.897. First driver to break the 129 mark, as Denis Dupont is now second. A whisker over 129.0. Then it's Tarquini and Menu. Then Oriola, Jean-Carl Venet, James Nash, Benny Leuchter, Stefano Comini and Gianni Morbidelli. So big changes in the top 10 in the last few minutes. But the biggest change of all is that the Audi of Frederick Vervisch is now quickest. There you see confirmation at 128.897. Just over a second covering the top 10 at the end of this first free practice session. 5 minutes remaining. So will Frederick Vervisch deny the Hyundais yet another moment of glory here in Dubai of being the quickest in this first free practice session? Menu has gone quicker in Sector 1, his best Sector 1 time. Vervisch has gone quickest of all in Sector 2, as Dan Lloyd has gone green in both Sectors 1 and 2. Menu heads up to the line. Comte improves. And it appears as though Comte has got his speed limiter on, judging by the flashing of the headlights. So, Vervisch having improved to a 128.805. Can the Come To You team replicate that kind of pace with Stefano Comini? I think that would be a huge psychological boost to the Swiss driver. And that's perhaps exactly what he needs at this stage of the weekend. Frederick Vervisch, supposedly the support act. There's the team, there's the Come To You garage. But Vervisch at the moment completely outclassing Stefano Comini. Vervisch P1, Comini P9. As Denis Dupont, green in initially all 3 sectors. P2 behind Frederick Vervisch. A 128.855 from Dupont. A 128.805, excuse me, from Frederick Vervisch. And across the line. Now, one driver you're not seeing on your timing screen you're seeing the top 18 there. All 21 drivers entered for this weekend have now set times. The slowest of all is Attila Tashi. So once this session is over, I'll be heading down to Mira Racing to see what's going on with Tashi's car, but it's currently in the pits. So you're seeing down as far as Panis there in 18th. The three drivers you're not seeing are Duncan Indy, David Kajaya and Attila Tashi, 19th, 20th and 21st respectively. Shedden improving, currently P11. So Come To You must be very happy with the way things are going, with the exception of Kamini being back in 9th. The men currently first and second are in Come To You cars, as Gianni Morbidelli improves to P7. There is Leuchter, he heads up to the line. Doesn't improve, still P9, but Frederic Verviche and Denis Dupont, first and second in Come To You cars. Dupont, remember, in the Seat being run by the Belgian RACB. Very much seen as a star of the future in Belgium. And with less than a minute of this session remaining, Gabriele Tarquini does his best Sector 1 time. So, will we see a last gasp grab of the quickest time by one of the Hyundai drivers? We're looking at Alain Menu at the moment in the number 33 car. Menu currently P4 behind Tarquini. Good in Sector 1, not so much in Sector 2. Exactly the same for Tarquini, so the promise shown in the first sector as they come through the little link, that rather bumpy series of corners. And the session is at an end. They will take the checkered flag at the end of this lap. Menu heads for the line then. Takes the checkered flag, doesn't improve. So what will Tarquini do? No, indeed, slower again in Sector 3. So not this time. The Hyundais will not be grabbing the headlines after free practice 1 here in Dubai. Verviche has taken the checkered flag, currently P1, and Comini will end the session P10. And Tashi, when you bear in mind that most of the front runners have done 14, 15, 16 laps, Attila Tashi, who's at the bottom end of the timesheet, has only done 4 competitive laps, compared to 5 for David Kajaya, 14 for Panis, and then Duncan Indy, 15 laps, and then Aurélien Comte, the only other driver to stand out from the lap charts of having had a bit of a miserable session. Only 9 laps for Comte, but as you can see there, P15 for Aurélien Comte on his debut in the International Series. Gordon Shedden just pops in a time at the end of the session that'll put him into the top 10. But indeed, looking down the order, excuse me, everybody's either taken the checkered flag or is in the pits. And so that is the order. There is the man quickest at the end of free practice 1. You saw there the Audi of Frederic Verviche. And so the top 10 at the end of that half hour goes Frederic Verviche, Denis Dupont, Gabriele Tarquini, Alain Menu, Pepe Oriola, Jean-Carl Venet, Gianni Morbidelli, James Nash, Benny Leuchter, and from Scotland in the Leopard WRT Volkswagen, Gordon Shedden. is P10 at the end of his first TCR International Series session. So you have to say, Gordon Shedden getting to grips with the new car very, very quickly. So Frederick Vervisch out of the car, getting a quick debrief. That's an interesting one. Shedden finishing the session ahead of Files. And Josh Files, you'll remember, triple TCR champion, defended his TCR Germany title earlier in the year, and right at the beginning of the year won the inaugural TCR Middle East Series. So an extremely experienced driver, Josh Files, having appeared once or twice in the International Series, tends to pop up right at the end of the year. Was in Macau at the end of last season, but Files ends this session P11, just behind Gordon Shedden. So let's get the confirmation for you then. At the end of free practice 1, it's Frederick Vervisch in the come-to-you Audi RS3, who's quickest ahead of his teammate Denis Dupont. The remainder of the top 10 then being made up of Tarquini, Menu, Oriola, Vernet, Morbidelli, Nash, Leuchter and Gordon Shedden. Interesting result. Behind the top 10 then, Files, Borkovic, Dan Lloyd, Stefano Camini, Aurélien Comte, Matteo Homola, Roberto Colciago, Duncan Indy, Aurélien Panis and David Kajaya. And as I mentioned earlier on, the man suffering the most from this session, Attila Tashi, second in the championship. That'll be interesting. Anyway, let's head down to the pit lane and let's catch up with the man who's just set the quickest time in that session, Frederick Vervisch.
Fred Vervisch, fastest time in free practice 1. It's not a surprise because we know that you are fast, but it's a surprise for the car. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a long time we were P1 in a session, so I think it's from Monza when we had pole. So I'm quite surprised we are there, honestly. But I have to admit, we put new tires, we attacked very hard, so we cannot still, we don't really know where we are, but for sure, I mean, I think we will have a better weekend than we had the previous one, so that's good.
Yeah, but this is not the car you were supposed to drive because your car is still blocked at customs. That's what I meant.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I didn't know you knew it. So yeah, our car is blocked. So we changed the car because it's we had some issues. But surprisingly, we are more or less on the pace now. But we need to see, we need to wait for the races and everything. So let's take it step by step. It's first time on the track, and I think for many of us, it's the first time. So I think the others will come closer, and so we need to see.
Well done in any case to you and to the team.
Yeah, they did a great job, so really good, thanks.
Fred Vervisch with a brilliant first question from Alfredo. We know you're quick, but the car's not meant to be this quick. As the Hyundai i30 of Gabriele Tarquini is pushed away, what will that car do this weekend? And we know it's transparent, we know it doesn't appear, but surely it'll be in the mix somewhere for overall honours in at least one of the 2 races, if not both. Jean-Carl Vernet, I would say he looks very laid back, having a little bit of banter with our cameraman Thomas. So then, action from the TCR International Series is underway here in Dubai. That was free practice 1. Join us in just under 2 hours' time, about an hour and 45 for free practice 2.